Welcome to the Pastured Pig Podcast,
where we share the successes and challenges of raising pigs on pasture.
We talk to producers all over the country,
From small homesteads to large commercial pasture operations.
Whether you're new to pastured pigs or have been raising hogs for decades,
We hope you hear new ideas and new perspectives on pasturing hogs.
here's your host, Troy McClung.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pastured Pig Podcast. I'm your host, Troy McClung. Again, thank everyone for listening to our podcast. Not going to take a lot of time doing an intro here because I want to dive right into our conversation with Carl. Carl's kind of a celebrity. I'm sure many of you know who he is. If you don't, then I think you're going to enjoy this even more as you learn more about him. But just some updates here at Red Tool House. We got 2 of our sows bred. We'll obviously know here in a couple weeks if they settled or not. But this week it was time to move them to another pasture, and it's kind of funny how they are so smart. They know where the electric fence is. They remember it even if it's taken down. They're not very trusting of me trying to coax them across, and have one pig in particular that she's not trusting. And I try to use the old feed bowl trick where I lay the feed bowl on one side of the line. Even though, of course, the line's gone there, but the clear demarcation of one pasture to the other, laid on the other side, instead of her coming across to get it, she leans over and grabs it with her teeth and jerks it back across the line. I actually shared a video of that on our Facebook page, Red Tool House Farm, if you want to check that out. But it's just one of those things where you deal with the intelligence of pigs and their intellect. It shows that they don't necessarily move exactly where you want them to when you want them to. Well, as I mentioned before, our guest today is Carl Blake. And Carl, man, we covered a lot of topics, and we could have spent hours talking about each one of the topics we hit. So I'm hoping to have Carl back on at some point and talk about some of these other things in detail. But I think you'll really enjoy our conversation. I've got a lot of links below in the show description, all the things that Carl references there. So be sure to take some time when you're not driving, of course, and check those out because there's some really good information there. All right, let's talk with Carl. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pastured Pig Podcast. I've got a celebrity in the pastured pig realm on the interview line today. I'm talking with Carl Blake, and Carl, man, if I listed off your resume here, that would pretty much take up the podcast. So I'm just going to say Carl from Rustic Rooster Farms, but there's so much more that we can unpack there. So let's start there. Welcome, Carl. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you've got a busy schedule going on, and to say that you're with Rustic Rooster Farms is kind of just a little taste of what you've got going on. You want to give us a little bit of background about you there?
Well, we started Rustic Rooster Farms as a means of trying to sell our pig, and what happened was back in 2007, I was in a severe accident, and I broke my neck, my back, my arm, my legs, and I should have been dead because I was paralyzed from the neck down. But I decided that to get physical therapy, I'd go back to farming. And I started doing a bunch of research, mainly because I was laid up and had cast on my leg and my arms, and all I could do was type. I did a lot of research on pork. And I kept doing more and more research. After a couple of years of research, I decided that we were going to try to recreate a pig from 1821 Germany called the Swabian Hull. And the Swabian Hull was I started seeing what the Swabian Hull was, mainly because we saw that the Mangalitsa was being brought into the United States.
Yeah.
And but after I found out the Mangalitsa grows too slow, has small litters, they're just not a good pig for commercial operation. And I also saw that the Mangalitsa was beat in Europe many, many, many times by the Swabian Hull in just about every category. I thought, well, it was developed by a king in 1821 and won 4 World's Fairs. If I try to recreate that pig and I could get anything close to it, we would have something here in the United States that was better than any of the pork that we have currently.
Yeah.
So I did a bunch of research and I recreated the pig here. and took the first pig to the San Francisco Cochon 555, and we won the event. And
what year was that? I'm sorry.
2009, I believe.
2009. Okay, great. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and during that time, we had raised Mangas and Mishan and a lot of other types of breeds of pigs, in the hopes of trying to find a better pig for us to eat in the United States. Because I think, and I said it on the Stephen Colbert show, that U.S. pork sucks. Yeah. And it does, because, none of those pigs out there can touch any of the new lard pigs that are produced today in terms of, just sitting down and eating a delicious piece of pork. That's what we're trying to do. And so we developed the Iowa Swabian Hall. We went on to win the Cochon several more times in different cities across the United States. And then we started, we ended up on a TV show. We were on the Andrew Zimmern show. That same week, we were in the cover of the New York Times, and then went from the New York Times to the Stephen Colbert show to show off our pigs, and then hundreds of professional farmer magazines and Farm Show and all kinds of other magazines and newspapers throughout the United States. I even have newspapers from Korea and Poland and Germany that show our pigs off, and so it's been quite a ride.
No doubt. And I've looked at some of those links that you've talked about there, and I'll post those below in the show description so all of our listeners can check that out as well. The Colbert Report show, I think, was obviously one of the most entertaining, because of course Stephen Colbert's a pretty crazy dude. What was it like being on that show with him? Was he a mile a minute type?
Well, yeah, he was. Actually, he was quite nice. But see, they spent 2 days prior talking to me. The writers did, asking me questions to try to figure out some funny angles, and I knew they were going to do something, but they didn't tell me anything. They just had me show up, and
sure.
I walked out with 2 pigs in my hands. But see, there's a lot of story in before that. Getting 2 pigs to New York was probably the worst thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
But imagine a small pig with diarrhea and it's blown up the size of a football.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the motel, he's got jet propulsion, and he just shits all over the entire apartment. It was horrible.
Right.
And but I was so afraid that he was going to do the same thing to Stephen Colbert when he put him in his arms.
Yeah.
All I could do was stand there and just wait for it to happen. I was like, oh, this is going to be funny on national TV. But no, it was really cool. He came out there and he said, just treat me like you're the teacher and I'm the student and you're going to teach me. And I said, oh, I can do that. And he says, and he looked right at me, pointed his finger at me, he says, don't let me get away with anything. And I said, I'm your man. He says, why is that? And I said, because I've seen what you've done to other people. I'll pick that table up and I'll hit you over the head with it.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's what I want. And I said, well, that's what we're going to get.
Yeah.
So we went out there, and you can see in the show where I actually said, you can see where they cut from me. The first minute that I was out there, I was scared shitless. My mouth was like popcorn fart dry. I couldn't get my lips to talk, move. I needed some water really bad, and they put a cup of, I got my own Colbert cup, that mug, they put it out on the table.
Right.
If you look, you can see where he comes at me, and then right when they pan to him, you can see my arm shoot out across the screen. I grabbed the cup, and I took a drink, and I said, now it's on.
That's right.
Because I could talk then.
Got recharged.
And he did it. Yeah, and then he said to me, so you've got a pig from China that you bred to a pig from Russia to create a German pig in Iowa. So you have a communist pig.
Right, yeah.
And I said, what? And I said, those fighting words. I tried to get him to arm wrestle me right there. I put my arm up on the table, and I tried to get him to arm wrestle me. Twice he put his arm out, and I reached down and grabbed his arm, and he pulled away and said, hypothetically speaking. And all I could think of was, I'm going to get this dude to arm wrestle me on national TV.
That would be
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm twice his size,
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
So it was funny, and he was really nice. And he let me sit on his desk and get a picture, man. That was so cool. Dude, you have no idea how cool that was, to sit in Colbert's chair.
Yeah.
I'd be like going to sit in Johnny Carson or, Jay Leno or Jimmy Fallon's chair and getting my picture taken. I mean, that was cool.
Yeah, I think that's it's a cover image on your Rustic Rooster Facebook page, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is.
Well, that was great. I mean, everybody should watch that clip and just see and know in the backstory there. I love the fact where he's you're talking about American pork sucks and it's not the other white meat, and he's, of course, taking you to task, poking you a little bit like that, and then he says, "Hey, we're going to throw down." And you're like, "All right, let's throw down." The beautiful irony of that, again, in audio, we lose the beauty of this, but if you guys watch the clip, you see with Carl sitting across the table from Stephen, it's a little bit of disproportionate there. So, yeah, you could.
Well, the interesting thing is that nobody knows about is when I said U.S. pork sucks. One of the vice presidents of John Deere was watching the show, and that vice president happened to be in charge. They were going to allow me to have they were going to loan me a skid loader, a John Deere skid loader for the television show for Andrew Zimmern. Because we were coming out with a new television show for National Geographic.
Oh, no kidding.
And
okay.
Nobody knew about that. But John Deere did. But when the guy heard that I said that, that it was, the U.S. pork sucked, he said that I basically, I insulted American pork farmers. And I said, no, I only insulted the American pork farmers that are making pork that sucks. And I called him and told him that.
Exactly.
And I said, I don't think you realize who your buyers are, because the buyers that buy John Deere's they're not pork buyers. They buy the red tractors because they're cheaper. They're not going to go buy a John Deere. I said, I've never seen a pork farmer that's out there moving stuff using, John Deere equipment. That's why I tried to use it. And I said, I've done work for the John Deere Waterloo plant, UAW 838 for 27 years. I did all their computer work, and I helped a lot of John Deere's people out, and I helped John Deere's out a lot. And, I would never try to do anything to defame them or otherwise insult them. But that's what he said. And then they took my skid loader away, and I lost it that day. But I still stand behind everything I said.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still offer $1,000 to anybody that has a confinement pig or confinement operation that can beat the worst pig on our property.
Right. There you
in
go.
a taste test.
Awesome. Yeah,
So,
it is. It's good. Stand by your convictions there. Well, you mentioned something I want to come back to, and this is stepping back a little bit, but your background, you talked about you have a tech background, but you grew up on a farm, correct? So you do have some farming experience, but you spent a lot of your adult life in tech.
Oh, yeah. Since I was 3, I mean, I lived on a farm. I grew up on a farm in Traer, Iowa, and then we moved to New Hartford, Iowa, and I lived on a farm there. We had pigs. I've had pigs since I was 3.
Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about where the Swabian Hall is now. So I assume you guys are you producing production level? Are you producing breeders? What are you doing with that pig right now?
Currently, what we're doing is I still produce Swabian Hall pigs that we sell to customers, and we have customers all over the country that still get Swabian Hall pigs. And what I've been doing is I've been doing some other breeding, trying to improve upon some of the things that, for instance, a faster growth time, faster growth in terms of marbling, still large litters, still producing consistently large litters, the dark red meat, 1 inch to 1.5 inches of fat cap on it, of pure white monounsaturated fat, really healthy fat for us humans. But trying to make a good charcuterie pig. I mean, I have them, I've got lots of guys in New York that have Swabians that are still out there, that are still aging them, in fact. I got some 3-year aged Swabian back a couple weeks ago. It's kind of a neat deal. But I like the Swabian, but we are also continuing to, improve upon that. And we've got a couple more pigs developed right now that we'll be offering as far as semen goes. We'll be offering semen as well as breed stock in the coming months.
Oh, excellent. Well, that was a question I was going to ask you, and trying to do the research, and you have to forgive my ignorance on this. But the Swabian Hall, can you guys technically call that a Swabian Hall? It was my understanding that it had to originate from the German region to technically be that, or how does that work?
Well, it's not really called a Swabian Hall. It's called the Iowa Swabian Hall.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I guess I misspoke. I guess in the beginning, it's not the Swabian Hall. All I did was simply recreate the pig based upon what I knew to be the pigs doing research of what they did in 1821 Germany.
Right.
So I knew that I wasn't going to create the same exact pig, but I thought if I was close, that's better than any pigs in the United States if we were even close, because there isn't good pigs in the United States for just eating. Even you got the Berkshire, but so what? The Berkshire is no different than the Hampshire or any other Shire pigs. They're all the same. But we've bred them in and out over the years here in the United States where there's no genetic diversity and good healthy genes. So we end up with, so-so pigs. I want a really good pig. I want really good pork. I want good bacon, and I want really good pork chops, and I love my pork steaks. So I know that I didn't create the exact pig as a Swabian Hall from Germany, but I call it the Iowa Swabian Hall because I created it in Iowa, and we use the same as close to the genetics as we could possibly get here in the United States at that time, and the purest, because my Michon pigs are the only ones in the United States, the only Michon that can be directed back to a pure source, where we know for a fact it was a pure source, and that was Iowa State.
Yeah.
And my Michon are from there, and that's what started my herd.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, and again, to me, that's kind of getting hung up on a technicality. The fact that you can't call it what it is, but it sounds like it's far superior or very equal to what it would be technically coming out of Germany.
What they did was they changed the Swabian in 1984 when they bred in the Wessex Saddleback. They only had 8 original Swabians left, and they bred in the Wessex Saddleback to give them more genetic diversity to continue building them. Mm. And what's neat is they do $82 million in pork in Germany with the Swabian Hall every year. $82 million.
Wow.
And that's not only is it a very popular pig, but they've got it under control. They have it's fed fodder. It's fed specific things at specific times. I mean, they've really got it down pat. And that's one of the things I'd like to do here. But what I did was I recreated the pig from 1821, and I do have another pig that has the same characteristics and everything as the one from 1984. I did that just so that I would have one, because so many people asked why mine didn't have a stripe and the Swabians do. Hmm. So, and that was generated from the Wessex Saddleback in 1984.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, great. So, so you're still producing that right now, and you're working on some other other genetic lines of that. Do you do? So are you at a large production level right now, would you say, or are you just still kind of testing and kind of in a smaller scale? We're on a smaller scale right now still. I have 2 other farms that are helping me in terms of production of the pigs and trying to get our genetics in line, because we want to be able to have them registered later on. We want to be able to offer them semen. We work with Stephen Kearns from International Boar Semen out of Iowa, and we offer all of our genetics there, so people can go ahead and. I just don't have any Swabian semen there right now, but they do have our pure Michon. They do have our red wattle. They do have various other pigs that we have up there. Yeah. So. Oh, excellent. But yeah, we're not huge, and I don't expect to ever be huge. What's happened is, Mike Rowe, I was on the Mike Rowe show, and Andrew Zimmern, and they both pulled me aside during the segments that I filmed with them, and they both said, "Hey, look, you're never going to make $1 million on this pig thing." They said, because you're not. It's just not going to happen in the TV world. And I said, "Well, I didn't figure it would."
But they said, the neat thing is that if you can identify the ancillary things or all the things that are going on around it that may be profitable, then you're going to be, batting 1,000 then, because then you can make money on those other things. And so one of the things that I really was working with was, I've been roasting pigs since I was in junior high for, I was always well known for roasting pigs through high school and college. But I had to do it the old way. And that's when I started really working with, a new way to roast pigs. Roasting a pig in 14 to 20 hours makes nobody any money.
Yeah.
But if you roast a pig in my American Hotbox, it only takes 4 hours. A guy can make money roasting pigs in 4 hours.
No doubt.
So I kept working with, I developed American Hotbox. I developed it out of solid stainless steel. I made it something that Americans can be proud of. It's made in America. Every bit of it, even my stainless steel, is sourced in America. All of the products and everything else that we use with it, they're all manufactured by us. And it's all handmade and hand welded, and they're fantastic. So that was one of the things. And the other thing that came out of it was the fodder. I pioneered feeding fodder to pigs because they laughed at me and said, well, pigs only eat corn and soy. They don't eat pasture. They don't eat grass. And I said, well, that's a lie. Because they shouldn't be fed corn and soy to begin with. That's not something that pigs are developed to eat. That's something that humans put to the pig and start feeding it to them, and that's not what a good pig should eat. And so I started feeding them fodder, and then I started figuring out how to develop fodder on a large scale basis. So I started working with that, and I developed my own fodder systems, and now we're out building fodder systems.
Awesome.
And hopefully that'll come about. It all starts, we got to start somewhere. So we've started, and we hope that, those things will catch on and change the technology as we go.
Yeah, well, let's, man, you just unloaded a lot of information there. So let's back up if you don't mind and talk about it. So the American Hotbox, which again, in the show description, I'll have links to the website and the Facebook page. So looking at that is a pretty unique looking device when you think about roasters, a certain look or size of a roaster. This thing almost looks like a downtown kind of vendor's hot dog cart, but obviously much more than that. So could you just give us a 40,000 foot elevation description of what's going on with those?
Well, the Hotbox uses a unique method developed by the Chinese some 600 years ago. It's actually top-down heat. What they do is they put the coals on the top, and then the pig or whatever you're going to cook is in the bottom, like a big oven. Mm-hmm. And the top is super heated. It's about 801 degrees on top. What it does, it has a convection effect as well as a pressure, like a pressure cooker effect, because the top seals up. And it heats up, and it superheats the pig inside, and it just cooks really, really well in there. The best roasted pigs come out of a Hotbox because it crisps up the skin too. Whereas standard regular roaster systems, they're just a rubbery pig, and nobody wants to eat the skin.
Right. Yeah.
Our pigs, they'll eat the skin all the way. They'll eat the skin right off the pig like it's no tomorrow. Chicharrones is what they call it when the Spanish eat it. The Mexicans like that. The Filipinos, chicharrones, and that's basically what we make. But the Hotbox is much more than just a pig roaster. We use it to cater events. We not only cater events, but it has a smoker, it has a rotisserie, it has a grill top, it has hibachi, a Brazilian shish kebab, it has a special automated shish kebab. It has 3 different kinds of rotisseries. It's just a fantastic box to use. We have a smoker, and we have 12 different kinds of smoke. So it's just fantastic. I've got a gal in Vermont that's using 2 of them. She did $144,000 last year, just using 2 Hotboxes.
My goodness. Yeah.
So, we have developed a whole business so that people can actually get the Hotbox and do a business around the Hotbox and do it on a yearly basis. And we did that for the farmers mostly because, farmers are having a hard time making an extra, $200 or $300, $400, $500 a month. They're happy when they can make an extra $500, but imagine when they can make an extra $1,500 to $5,000 a month. That's a game changer in terms of being able to pay to buy feed, to buy the meds you might need, and all those kinds of things. I mean, the Hotbox can help you, keep your farm afloat.
Oh yeah, and that's the beauty. I love that. That's a great value add for a producer. We see that all the time in pork production. Hey, when you have the opportunity to process your animal and sausage, pepperoni, whatever the value added product you're going to add there, that helps the bottom line. But you're showing one step further with this actual cooking production. So if you've got that on your farm and you're producing roasters, to say, hey, we'll not only sell you a roaster, we're going to be able to take care of it for you. We can do this. We can rent these out. Whatever. All this value added service there.
Just imagine though, you have 40 pigs and you have 3 coal pigs, and they're not growing very well for whatever reason, so you keep them in a separate pen. Those pigs normally end up killing them or giving them away or something, but the cool thing about the Hotbox is you can put them in their own pen, and you don't care how long it takes them to grow. You just keep feeding them out, and then all of a sudden, by the time day it comes and they're 40 to 60, 70 pounds, you can turn around and get $5.25 a pound for that same pig.
Yeah.
So you could turn your coal pigs, which are normally your junk pigs, into a high dollar pig and use them at events. Not a big deal. So, I mean, it really, really helps you in the long run in more than one way. And, you could pay the Hotbox off in, 1 to 2 events very quickly. And then the rest of the money you make is all profit. There's nothing out there on the farm that helps in terms of turning as much money over or allowing you to keep as much money than using the Hotbox.
Yeah, and it seems like it has some modular elements there, like you said, with the rotisseries and some of the other elements where you can keep it from just being a single function item. It can actually do multiple post-production cooking opportunities there. Very cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's. You mentioned too the fodder box system. So you've talked about that briefly, but let's unpack that a little bit more. So obviously, I loved what you said about some people can't bring the pigs to pasture, so this is an opportunity to bring pasture to the pigs. So I know you had overcome this hurdle of dispelling the myth that pigs will eat fodder. So kind of jump in from right there and tell us how that evolved.
Well, first off, when I started working with the pigs on a different level, I immediately said, don't listen to anything any of the old guys say other than to take it in and to use it as advice. But when they say, well, this is the way it's always been done, I decided that we had to look at it and say, well, that may be the way you've always done it, but that's not the way we're going to do it now, because we're going to look at the old school versus new school and see if we can't combine the two to give us a better pig and a better way to take care for them and a better way to feed them and to try to fit today's needs, wants, and issues. And so what happened was, initially I started looking at fodder because they were feeding fodder to the pigs in Germany. I looked at doing fodder here, and so I made my own do-it-yourself systems, and I did a lot of experimenting, and I knew that I couldn't make enough of it to feed as many pigs as I wanted to. But I discovered that, after doing a lot of reading, that pigs were really, really into fodder. And then when I started feeding it to them, I used it as a means of lowering the cost. My pig feed was $650 to $700 a month, a ton. And when I started doing fodder, my fodder costs were only $95 a ton. So I thought, well, that's going to save me a lot of money. Well, that's a great thing and all, and that's saving money as opposed to making money with the Hotbox. But we're able to save it. But I could not believe what happened to my pigs after I started feeding them fodder. We lost nearly the use of 100% of the meds that we had to have to keep pigs alive for pneumonia and for scours and, whatever else. The fodder was so high in nutrients, vitamins, and enzymes that are available immediately because they're eating the root mass. See, on our fodder plant, what fodder is just basically barley, wheat, or rye that's grown up to anywhere from 6 to 12 inches tall. But it's grown in water. It's not grown in any dirt. So the root mass, though, is this white, beautiful white root mass. It's sweet. It's good to eat. It's not bitter like the greens are. But the animals love the root mass. You can't get that when you get a barley and stuff that they get out in a field because they're cutting it, they're drying it, and they're leaving the root mass in the ground. Well, we actually take the root mass, feed it to the pigs, and those pigs None of our pigs needed any more medications.
Wow.
For over a year, we didn't even have to do anything other than work with trying to remove parasites. So it was a bizarre thing that I didn't even realize it, but the health aspect of it was unbelievable. It just blew me away, and it made using fodder all the more important to use because it was so much more helpful than trying to use all these medications to try to keep them alive. So I started working with pioneering a feed that we looked at, a whole feed that we could make in the fodder system to feed to the pigs. And I think we've come up with one now where we can actually offer our own seed mix to make fodder with. That's a complete feed for pigs, as well as goats, sheep, and cows and horses.
Excellent.
So the neat thing is that the fodder systems now, we can actually build a fodder system that can do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tons a day. We can grow that much in one day. So it's a 6-day cycle, but we still have feed every single day of the week.
Yeah, that's incredible, because that was my first question, was the scalability of this. How far can you take this? But if you're producing 7 tons a day, that's pretty good scale.
Well, we can scale from 100 pounds all the way up to where there's a place in Texas that it was a $24 million quote, a bid. And that was to build them a system that did like 30 tons a day.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I mean, that's crazy. I don't even know how we get, that's just crazy.
So,
but there are people out there that want scalability, and we can scale fodder from, 100 pounds all the way up to as much as you want. So, we have proprietary lights. We've got special lights. We've got special computer system. We can keep our box so finely tuned. We can keep it within 1/2 degree in terms of temperature.
Yeah, so that's the key, and I know you mentioned that already, but the fact that it's completely climate controlled, and looking here at some of your information, that you even have some that are portable. You have a trailered system,
right?
Or you can sell all the components, and I assume people put it in their own building structure that they have. But you're looking at a complete turnkey system, and now it sounds like you're even including a grain mix that they put in, so they're not even responsible, or they don't have to be responsible for their own grain mix.
Correct. And we're actually building a fully automated system right now as well. So all it is you push a button and it actually spits feed out. Or in the case of the new unit that I'm building right now, you come out at 8 in the morning and the feed is already waiting there for you, already in the conveyor or in your skid loader. It's already done.
Right.
So you don't have to have any of the net. See, what's happening in the industry is that most of the fodder systems that are out there are very poorly designed, and they don't take into consideration biohazards and pathogens. And what's happened is you get it there, and after 2 months, you can't use it anymore because it develops so much mold and mildew. And they just don't know how to solve that problem, and we do. We solved it in several ways. But more importantly, it allows us to continue growing and making stuff on a daily basis. And we don't have to worry about all those problems associated with it because we bypass all that. But our competitors are still turning out $45,000, $50,000 systems that are being resold in 3 months because they're so poorly designed and made. So we're actually, in the next 6 months to a year, we will be the ones that they're going to try to emulate because we're doing such a good job of making a really good solid fodder. It's crazy.
Awesome. So obviously, you with all this stuff going on, there's multiple questions that come from this. A, do you ever sleep? B, but you've obviously in your experience over the years, you've learned how to partner with the right people. I assume that you've got help doing this. This isn't something that you're burdening all the responsibility and all the issues yourself, I assume.
Well, in terms of I do all the work that isn't the actual hand making work because I can do the welding. I built the first prototypes of everything myself, but now I have a group that helps me, and there are 4 or 5 other guys that actually help build the products and help me design, and we'll build something and then We look at it and we rebuild it and we rebuild it again. And about the third time we have the product that we want. But no, I work with some Mennonites. They never see the outside world, but they're some of the best welders and some of the best people in the industry. And what's neat is, as I said, with the pig, we want to take some of the old world, which was in 1821, with some of the new methods of raising them and using fodder and other things that we use from present day feeding, how we combine water and feed to be able to increase the weight and gain and growth of the pigs. We did the same thing with the fodder when we were developing it. I'm working with guys that have knowledge, from hundreds of years ago, and they don't know any of the new techniques, and I know all the new techniques, and we combine the two together, and now we got something that nobody can even replicate, because a lot of the stuff from the old school has been forgotten, and and I've got guys working with me that have to live that way every day. I mean, they got metal on their tires, for God's sake. Yeah. But we know how to do things mechanically that, we've lost that art of doing things mechanically. We want to automate everything. You don't want to put a motor on it, want to put a solenoid on it. Well, the cool thing is they don't have none of that stuff in the 1800s or the 1700s, but they still did those things back then. So, we could take those things now and combine them together, and it makes for some really neat products. I'm very proud of what we've done. I mean, I'm so proud of what we've done. I can't begin to tell you. I mean, our pigs taste the best. I can't, and the new pigs that we're developing are, 272 pounds in 5 months and 2 days. That's a large pig with an 1.5 inch fat cap, with dark red meat, with litters of 15 to 20. That's a pig, man. It marbles at 3 months.
Yeah, that's
that just blows away anything else that's out there. And so, any pig that's making 10 to 15 months is not gonna, you're not gonna make as much money. If I could take the next Burt guy and he could have 10 sows and I get 10 sows, and we feed him the same exact inputs, and I get 3 times the number of pigs that he gets, that's not even a contest. Are you going to keep the one that makes 3 times more, or are you going to dump that one that just doesn't, that can't produce?
Right.
You're based upon numbers. You got to be able to get your numbers up, and we can do that with our pigs. And feeding them fodder, you get a cleaner pig. You get a pig that's healthier. You get a pig that is now eating what it's actually meant to eat. The pigs are actually carnivores too, but we don't feed them any animal proteins. But the fact is, we can have them eating fodder, and we end up with a really, really good pig. And you can tell in the taste and the smell and everything. So trying to help farmers at the same time, trying to develop the stuff to help us, and I'm hoping that we help farmers every day in our Pasture Pigs for Meat and Profit group. We help thousands of farmers on a monthly basis. I mean, we take thousands of questions and thousands of emails and thousands of texts, and I got like 60 of them since I've been sitting here on the phone.
Right, I bet.
So, and I'm watching my screen as the tickets go up. So, people keep asking, and so it's great. We're trying to help farmers. We try to help new farmers. We try to help old farmers. We try to help any way we can to keep the farmers around. I mean, that's our number one goal, is to keep as many farmers farming. I'll see farmers go out there and get the wrong pigs, and 2 years later, they're out of the business because they put so much time and effort and money into Mangalitsa breeders. I see them going out of business every 2 weeks. And, the pig, it takes 2 years to raise a Mangalitsa to make it profitable. And even then it's not profitable because it has too much fat and not enough meat. But people keep pushing it, and they'll push the smaller pigs, the AGHs and the Coonies and things like that, but they're not going to make you any money.
Yeah.
And if there is, there's maybe a few people across country making money with them, but they've got such a niche market that,
very
they
small
can make money at it, great. But for the larger number of people out there that are just getting into pigs, they lose their butt on those now. And it takes them 2 years, and then they close the doors and say, I'm getting out of pigs. Here, I'll buy all my mangas. I'll give them to you. I mean, I got people giving them away on the sites in the last month. Here, I got 6 megalitres. I'll give them away. If anybody will just come get them. And that's a bad thing because that's not promoting what we do. That's not out there, getting in the mix and selling good pork, and you're worried about the mechanics of trying to make it work and find out you're going bankrupt. I don't like that. So we do the best we can, trying to help all the farmers out and, try to help them get on a path of, not so much profitability as trying to get them on a consistent path that leads to profitability as they go from one thing to another in their farms.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love that attitude, and I think that's really what's going to move the industry forward is pioneers, guys like you that are ahead of the game or are leading the way in some of these specific areas, sharing that information, and that's a real blessing to some of us producers that are just starting out, trying to get our arms around what's going to work and what's not. I mean, we always talk about we stand on the shoulders of other people anytime we do anything,
right.
and love the idea that you guys are willing to share. So I wanted to. You'd mentioned it here. I want to mention it again. So you guys have a Facebook group called the Pastured Pigs for Meat and Profit group that I think has about 10,000 members right now, and that's where you guys do a lot of communication with fellow producers, correct?
Correct. We have some special programs that none of the other groups have. We have a special pork advisory board, so if you're getting ready to go out of business because of your pork and stuff, you can talk to 6 top experts in pork and try to see if we can't find a solution to save your farm. But we also have what's called a mentoring program. You can get in our group, and we have a mentoring program so that you can go online and we hook you up with an experienced pork producer, and they can help you get through all the trials and tribulations of what normally happens in the first year. And the mentoring program is, I think we've had 400 or 500 people go through our mentoring program since we started it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that helps the new ones out. We offer that and it's all, now you got to understand the group and stuff is all free. I mean, you come on there, we're offering our information and stuff free on our site, but yet, and phone calls and texts and everything else, we do offer that stuff as free. And the mentoring program is free, and so is the advisory board. So people are doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, or, I got some real good, highly educated people with a lot of good experience helping in a lot of different ways, and they're just there to help. And everybody helps, and it's a great thing. I mean, it's part of what we're trying to do. We're not out there trying to make money on someone else's shirt tails, or trying to take anything away from anybody else or anything. We're trying to make things easier for the farmers, and we try to, answer questions as best we can and try to help save pigs. I mean, we're saving pigs every week, it seems like. Yeah. So,
well, man,
that's what we're trying to do, and that's one of our goals is to try to really help the farmers and try to do what we can to keep them around.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Carl, when you look at the next 5 years, you kind of look down the corridor of time in the future here. What do you hope to accomplish in the next 5 years with all these endeavors?
Well, my hope is that we can have a number of farmers out there utilizing the Hotbox, and my goal would be to have a yearly Hotbox gathering where we can have everybody that's bought a Hotbox come bring their Hotbox to our special event, and we'll offer a bunch of money and prizes and things, and roast pigs, and have a big, humongous boucherie, and bring in the top barbecue guys, hog roasters, and everything all across the country to have it culminate into a big event where the farmers that have their own hot boxes can bring their own pigs and compete right here, and share ideas on how to best grow it so that they can help their farms continue to grow and profit every year, so that they're not trying to survive on a minimum basis. As far as the fodder systems goes, my hope is, I see fodder as being the future of everything we do, even for human consumption, because the fodder system, one fodder box that I make can replace 256 acres of prime farmland that's made that has 3 cuttings of alfalfa a year. We can blow that away because we're actually making product 365 days a year, and it's prime product. And we don't take up anywhere but a 20-foot by 8-foot by 10-foot space. That's fantastic. We can take the water that we have, recirculate, reuse the water that we use. I mean, there's so many fantastic benefits of using fodder that, it's going to definitely be, because we don't have enough land out there to support, 100 or a million pastured pigs. There isn't. But what we can do is we can put those pigs and have them in clean quarters, and we can bring the pasture to them by bringing the fodder to the pigs.
Yeah.
Then, I really like being on pasture because the pigs can get the grubs and the worms out of the dirt, and they eat up, they root the dirt, not because they want to make piles of dirt, but because they find interesting things under the dirt. Mm-hmm. Well, and they find a lot of food there. But the thing is, if we could bring them the pasture, and because people don't have enough money to buy 50 acres of land to put, 50 pigs on, then we can allow them to do that and bring the pasture to them, and we could still make a really, really good pig for us to eat. So I think not only fodder for pigs, and sheep, goats, cows, and horses, but we can utilize the fodder for us. We can make I make a great 3-bean salad in my fodder system. I got one tray in there that does nothing but make 3-bean salad.
Yeah.
And, add zucchinis and some garbanzos and some peas and some radishes, and I throw them all in there. They grow up about 4 inches, and now I have the best 3-bean salad. Put a little ranch on there and eat it right out of the tray. I thought that was pretty funny the first time I did it, and everyone else thought it was too, but you know what? It turned out to be really, really good. Right. It's as organic as you're going to get. It's clean. We use hydrogen peroxide in all of our units. Hydrogen peroxide cleans all the bacteria. There's no pathogens. It's as organic as possible because there's no dirt, there's no pathogens. So you can grow all the seed in there you want for whatever you want. We're experimenting with a whole bunch of things right now that I think are just going to be mind-blowing in the next 6 months to a year.
Great.
And once our automated system is done, then we're talking that's going to be a game changer in the entire industry. So I'm looking forward to what the next 1 to 5 years it looks like.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely have to have you back on and have you keep updating us on the progress on all these ventures. This is incredible. Well, I
appreciate you having me on the show.
Certainly. Well, I promised I wouldn't keep you long, and I know you got a ton going on. Sounds like your inbox is filling up as we go along. I'll mention this, or I'll put this down in our show description, but if you don't mind, just kind of give a shout out to where you'd like people to find more information about your products and how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can look up www.americanhotbox.com, www.americanfodderbox.com. You can see us on the web, on Facebook. Just look up American Hotbox, American Fodder Box. Fodder Fed is one of our biggest growing groups on Facebook right now. It's growing very quickly, like 30 or 40 people a day that are learning about fodder and what it can do and how it can help you. We're asking thousands of questions and then showing how people all over the world are doing fodder. I have about 40 people in Australia that are using systems that I help design, and I sent designs to them, and they're building their own systems. And they're feeding nothing but their animals fodder on a daily basis. So, you can learn a lot in Fodder Fed, and you can also meet us and talk to us in Pasture Pigs for Meat and Profit. We've got quite a good group of top-level experts as administrators, and we're glad to help any way we can.
Awesome. Well, everybody, check out those links. Again, I'll have those in the show description below. Well, Carl, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today, and hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. That was really interesting. I have to confess, I was not that familiar with Carl. I didn't know all that he was involved in till really started researching this and getting more into this podcast. Actually, has introduced me to so many people. But I really appreciate talking to Carl, and again, anxious to talk to him even more as we go on down the line of topics and discussion points. Well, I appreciate all of you giving reviews and giving us rankings. That's helping us come up in our rankings. I saw that a third party reached out to us and said that we are ranked 959th on iTunes. So we are climbing the charts. But obviously very specialized topic with the Pastured Pig podcast, but I appreciate everyone that listens and participates and comments. Well, again, if you want to know more about us, check us out at redtoolhouse.com on our website, or you can find us on our YouTube channel at Red Tool House Homestead. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great day.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Pastured Pig Podcast. To learn more about our podcast or to submit topics or recommend guests for future episodes,
Visit redtoolhouse.com.